A hearty hello and welcome to you to Johns Creek, Georgia, inside of Northview Stadium at Northview High School. This is the SELC playoffs on PackTV. Hi there, everybody. I'm Drew Blevins, joined by Nick Sinopoli up here in the broadcast booth as the NC State Wolfpack prepare to take on the number 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in the SELC quarterfinals right here from Johns Creek, Georgia. Nick, this is an NC State team that has had a phenomenal year, one of the best so far in school history, but they are running up against a mighty and powerful Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech, the number 3 team in the nation, only one loss on their resume so far. Your general impressions on the matchup?
You know, NC State has really came to play this year. Chris Demarest, the head coach of the NC State Wolfpack, has said this might be the best year in NC State's history as a Club 1 Division I team, and they're definitely right, but the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are good just about every year, one of the better teams in the country coming into this contest, ranked 3rd in the country, so NC State is on the rise, but it's going to be a tall order for the Wolfpack.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the Jackets. They're headed up by Ken Lovick in his 21st season with Georgia Tech. He's a former NCAA player at James Madison, continued a club career at Towson, also is the head coach of the Georgia Copperheads. This is a guy who knows his lacrosse, and it shows with what he's done with his Georgia Tech team so far. This is a Tech team that only had one loss to a top 5 team in Colorado. That was in Boulder as well. They've also beaten 3 ranked teams in the top 10 so far this season. It's a mighty, mighty team led by the freshman attack sensation Griffin Goggins. When you look at the Yellow Jackets, what are you seeing?
You know, I'm seeing a high-octane offense just about all the time, really. Georgia Tech likes to get out and ahead in front of their opponents early on, and that'll be the key of success for them in this matchup, to get out and going early. But, you know, I don't really see a lot of weaknesses in this team. It's not a matter of if they're going to win, but how much they're going to win by, really.
There's a lot of sting in the Yellow Jackets offense, to say the least, but NC State, Chris Demarest, has talked about his baby, the defense. This was a defense that helped NC State. If they had to go to a tiebreaker, that would have put the Wolfpack in the playoffs based on the goals against margin. This is a defense led by Parker Staten. You've also got Devin Johnson and Tyler Horner back there to help. It's a Wolfpack defense that Chris Demarest has built up, very, very proud of. Do you think this is a Wolfpack D that's going to be able to stop the Yellow Jackets offense?
You know, it's difficult to say, Drew. I think this is a team that has a good anchor in net with Staten. I think that defense does a great job of clogging the net and giving him some help inside, because we talked earlier, and Staten has a 67% goal save average, which is remarkable in the SELC. But remember, you got to remember that Georgia Tech offense. But I think they have enough to be successful, but it's going to have to come out from the get-go. They've got to come out of the gate and show a great presence on defense, or it could be all Yellow Jackets in this one.
And it's a Wolfpack offense not to be overlooked as well. Adam Johnson, Michael Sullivan, Jesse Melton. The list goes on and on with guys who can score in this roster. The Wolfpack are missing Austin Bell, who had recently turned into the face-off specialist. He is out for personal reasons, so NC State is going to have a little bit of a lapse in the face-off circle, but it's a Wolfpack offense that has excellent perimeter passing. What's it going to take for them to get a little more aggressive and look for shots earlier in offensive sequences, though?
You know, you're going to need to have someone else to really just dominate the face-off circle, because you mentioned Bell not making the trip. That's a big loss for the Wolfpack, which isn't big really looking at the roster, but face-offs in lacrosse just means so much to time of possession in the game. So definitely going to have to step up in the face-off circle, be aggressive on offense, make sure you're nice and patient outside, but make sure to look for those nice shots on inside. Don't settle for perimeter shots. You need to wait for good shots on the inside and test the Yellow Jackets.
When you look at these two teams, is there anybody in particular you looking to step up for, a key player for either side?
You know, for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, I'm going with a defenseman, Will Byers. That guy, while he's a defenseman, on man-up opportunities, he capitalizes, and it's huge for him and that Georgia Tech team. If they can get out and capitalize on man-up opportunities, definitely watch out for him if you're the NC State Wolfpack. For the Wolfpack, I'm going with Michael Sullivan. He's one of my favorite players to watch. He's a stud out there. You know, we could see him get 3 or 4 goals tonight. Same thing with Adam Johnson. Those guys are speedy. They get inside. They make moves. Sometimes they take it in themselves. Some great ISO players for the NC State Wolfpack, but it's got to be a team effort in order for NC State to pull off the upset.
For the Yellow Jackets, for me, it's Griffin Goggins, the freshman scoring sensation. If he's able to get the ball in his hands a lot, he could really light this place up in a hurry, especially through the first 2 quarters. For the NC State Wolfpack, though, I like Adam Johnson. I think what he does on the offensive side of the ball is invaluable to this team, but I think you got to look in net with Parker Staten. This is a goaltender who has had a lot of very, very very good games for the NC State Wolfpack. His save percentage career at a 67%, which is absolutely outstanding for Lacrosse. He's never had a single game where he's gone below stopping 60% of shots. Very, very good goaltender in net, and the Wolfpack are going to need his presence tonight as they take on a high-flying Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets team. Final thoughts on this matchup, Nick Sinopoli, as we're inching closer to the opening faceoff.
You know, it's been an exciting season following NC State Lacrosse. This is one of the better seasons I've witnessed. Remember, their 3 losses were by a total of 3 goals, 1 goal loss in each contest. But in order for the NC State Wolfpack to get out ahead, they've got to be aggressive early. And for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, if they want to continue their dominance of the SELC and move on to another title, they're going to have to get out and ahead early. If they can get out by maybe a 3 or 4 goal margin in the first quarter, I think that'll bode for some trouble for the NC State Wolfpack.
The Wolfpack are looking to bust out the bug spray. It's the Yellow Jackets and NC State on PackTV next. A hearty hello and welcome to you to Northview Stadium in Johns Creek, Georgia. Drew Blevins alongside Nick Sinopoli as we are mere moments away from the opening face-off of the SELC quarterfinal between the North Carolina State Wolfpack and the number 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech is in the all-white uniforms, NC State in their road black with the red trim. Ball is being set, and away we go between number 3 in the nation and the NC State Wolfpack. Opening faceoff is taken forward by the Jackets. That's Holland Frost, a senior midfielder from Marietta, Georgia, not too far down the road. And Georgia Tech will start things off with the game's opening possession. This is a Jackets team that is very, very powerful on the offensive side of the ball. NC State's netminder is Parker Staten. And automatically Georgia Tech will set things up back behind the net. Running around to the side, Jackets looking for a shot. Good defense by NC State. Carrying the ball here is Brian Conley. Works into the middle. And Parker Staten is there to collect. Good job by Staten in the early going here. 14:20 to go in the first quarter. Staten will walk it up. Thought about a pass, thought better of it. He's up to the 25-yard line. This is at Northview Stadium, which functions as the football and lacrosse home, as well as soccer for the Northview High School Titans. Georgia Tech forces a turnover, and the Jackets have another offensive possession. Working into the middle. Connolly loses possession. Ball on the ground on the turf. It's whacked away. Chased by Tim Peterson. He collects it by the far side sideline, and Georgia Tech will reestablish their possession here. This is Gabriel Banks. He goes ahead beyond the 30 to the 25 as he works to the box. Clayton Blackwelder, light pressure defending him, forcing him back behind the net. Banks rolls opposite side, looking for a shot, gets one off. It was blocked. NC State looking for the loose change. Hack and whack time. Wolfpack after the loose ball on the ground still. Tech chasing after it, and it looks like the Yellow Jackets have it cleanly. Banks, dogged pressure from behind by the long pull. And Georgia Tech comes away with the ball. High pass. This is going to go out of bounds, though. This is going to belong to NC State, and they'll have their first offensive possession of the game.
Good break for the NC State Wolfpack. Georgia Tech dominating possession early on, but that NC State defense still holding its own early in the first.
Triple team on the ball. Magically, it's given to Kevin Berry. He'll run it ahead. Berry, with speed as he works forward to the 20-yard line, stops, pops, and turns it back, and it'll set up for the NC State Wolfpack now. This is Jesse Melton in the number 22 uniform, and he goes out to the far side. This is the regular suspects of the who's who of NC State offense. Melton moves to the top. Berry back for Melton. Cutting in toward the middle. Pressure from behind by Banks. Ground ball. State's on top of it for the time being. The Wolfpack have it behind the net. Adam Johnson controlling. He gives to Berry now. Move to the top and Clayton Blackwelder. Blackwelder just played in an IM basketball championship game on Wednesday night before making the trip this afternoon. It's about a 7-hour drive from Raleigh. The Wolfpack are going to get a chance to hold possession here. Been a long and exhausting day of travel for NC State, but Chris Demarest was very confident in this team. Sullivan dancing behind the cage. Goes to the top. Johnson at the 35-yard line. Dead center, works to the far side. This is that NC State perimeter passing. Georgia Tech really not having to do too much in the way of pressure. NC State likes to sneak a backdoor pass if they can find it. Barry's going to try to do it himself. The shot, he scored! Kevin Barry opens up the scoring for the NC State Wolfpack, and it's 1-0 red and white.
And you mentioned it right there, Drew. They like to slow down the pace of the game, and while Georgia Tech is just kind of playing, just some touch D out there on the perimeter, and he sneaks in for a nice sniper of a shot. NC State taking the 1-0 lead early, 11:33 left in the first.
Tough one to swallow, the shot in to Dennis Lacalzi, the sophomore goalkeeper from Rockville Center, New York, and Southside High School. Allows the opening goal. This is where Georgia Tech can excel, though, winning the faceoff. To the near sideline at the 20-yard line. Pressure by the Wolfpack. Hack and whack time. Good possession here by Lubbock's Jackets. To the top, and GT will settle. Holland Frost. Instead, that was Shane Walker, the freshman from Mount Sinai, New York. Rambling wreck. Down 1-0, possessing the ball here. Cut to the middle. Frost never got a shot away. Finds one into the middle. Shooting, they scored, and it's tied. Georgia Tech works right back into the middle. They had numbers behind the last defenseman, and Georgia Tech ties it up.
Georgia Tech dominating time of possession, and you're seeing right there how much Austin Bell really meant to this Wolfpack team in winning faceoffs. NC State still has not won of the 3 faceoffs that have come so far in the first quarter, so NC State really has to capitalize on their opportunities, Drew, if they're not going to win these faceoffs.
Face-off at midfield once again. The Wolfpack would love to control one here. One back. It'll be a battle for it, but Tech's there. Quickly forward, pass it in the middle. The shot, Staten gets the crosshead down. Georgia Tech picks up the rebound behind the net, and the Jackets go back to work. Brian Connolly to the far side. Touchback here to Andrew Yee. And Tech starts the perimeter game. You're going to want to keep a very close eye on this NC State defense. Chris Demarest has had a week to prepare for the Georgia Tech offense. A little more. State played their final game on a Wednesday. Georgia Tech had to wait till Saturday to play the Georgia Bulldogs. Shot blocked on the way through. Tech with a rebound again. Georgia Tech all over rebounds and ground balls here early. 5 minutes gone by in the first quarter. NC State 1, Georgia Tech 1. Connolly spins out of a little bit of pressure. He's looking for a shot. He's being absolutely hound-dogged by Jonathan Hopkins. To the middle and wide of the far side post.
You mentioned ground balls, and that while not a huge stat, it really makes a difference at the end of the day, goes along with time of possession. And I know I sound like a broken record, but it's one of the main keys in dominating your opponent, and Georgia Tech is doing just that right now, despite a 1-1 score.
That shot is wild, not even close from Sam Rubin. Spun at the far side post. Tech into the middle. Ground ball. State going after it. And the Wolfpack come away with this one. This is Devin Johnson, a former football running back in high school for Cuthbertson near the Charlotte metro area. And NC State gets the ball ahead of midfield. They'll go back onto offense. Walked in quickly. Here's a chance. Scored! And the Wolfpack take the lead again. Of all people, you hardly expected the long stick to score, but NC State has taken the lead again.
Taking it himself, all by himself, number 32 for the NC State Wolfpack. Sorry, didn't
That's
even
Cody
expect him to get there.
Stanford.
Just took it himself. You don't see many goals from a long stick out there, but he saw the opportunity, caught the Yellow Jackets sleeping, and despite the lack of possession in this game, NC State has been able to capitalize quickly and efficiently.
LaCalzi has not looked solid in net so far, and right now he's the weak link on this Jackets team, who is still owned time of possession, not by seconds but by minutes. They've also just won their 4th straight face-off. State all over with pressure. That ball comes loose. It's out of bounds. The ball is going to Georgia Tech. Offside called. So the right call, not by much, but just across the 50-yard line, NC State had contact. So GT takes over. The number 3 team in the nation, down 1. Nearly another turnover for the Jackets. Save for the time being near the box. Ken Lovick is not going to be thrilled with the way the first 7 minutes of this game have gone. This is a Tech team that has possessed the ball and passed tremendously. Has pretty much done everything but score. Parker Staten has played well to this point. Thought about his shot into the middle. Here it is. They scored! It's Holland Frost cutting to the middle. Knotted up deuces apiece. We go back and forth here in Johns Creek. Nick, what'd you see on that play?
You know, I saw a similar play to what I saw for the first goal for the NC State Wolfpack. Kind of a nice little head fake to the right, and then a good opportunity inside. He was pressuring right in the middle. Good shot selection. Left-handed shot right on the net. Perfect isolation move from the Yellow Jackets. But Drew, looks all of a sudden we've got a great game on our hands here in the first quarter.
I don't think the score really shows how this game has gone. NC State finally wins a face-off. Nick Davis shoots wide.
It looks like NC State really likes that almost fast break type of offense here early on, but it's worked. I mean, 2-2, but right there's a case where you kind of possibly want to be a little more patient with the ball and set up your offense, but a good energy from the Wolfpack nonetheless.
State will get their top offensive unit out there as Blackwelder alongside of Kevin Berry come to the top. Melton goes for Barber and back. Kevin Berry, who has a goal this game. Jesse Melton loses possession of the ball, comes back and scoops it up, pressured from behind by Andrew Yee. State working on the far side as Davis retreats back behind the net. To the top and Kevin Berry. He'll get it back. Berry working in on Yee. Takes a cross check. Melton. A little bit of trouble. He finds an outlet. Back up to the top and Melton from Sullivan. Berry out wide for Blackwelder. Behind the net. Little game of trading places as Miller Barber goes up to the top with Berry. Jesse Melton now takes it at the 35-yard line. Looking one-on-one. Drops it back to Berry. Blackwelder now. State going behind the net. Good move by Michael Sullivan. Sends it, the shot, blocked on the way through. Loose ball. NC State was there, but Georgia Tech kicks it ahead. Still loose. Across the 40, a bouncing ball. Georgia Tech gets possession, crossing the 50. It's loose again, dangerously close to the sideline. Georgia Tech holding possession for now. It's flung forward, but the NC State player had stepped out of bounds. The Yellow Jackets will have possession. Good battle by the NC State Wolfpack and the first real defensive stop for GT.
First time we really got to evaluate that Georgia Tech defense, and it held its own, Drew, almost surrendering an opportunity right there for the NC State Wolfpack, but Georgia Tech back dominating time of possession.
Tech could opt to kill a little bit of clock here. 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, knotted up 2-2 between the number 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and the NC State Wolfpack in the quarterfinals of the SELC playoffs. Winner advances. They'll play right here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Loser goes home. Could be a chance in space. Thinking about his shot is Peterson. Drives to behind the net. Good move here on the near side post. The shot, they scored! Georgia Tech takes the lead 3-2. Brian Connolly will get credit for the marker as he came to the near side of the crease and fired one. And this is where NC State has to be very, very careful not to let this one get out of hand. Georgia Tech has been the better team. Scoreboard doesn't show just how good they've been so far, but nonetheless, still a solid squad.
You know, it goes back to just Austin Bell not being there in the face-off circle, but NC State has got to be a little more aggressive on defense, Drew. While I like how they clog the net, they're not being exactly aggressive outside on the perimeter. They really need to pressure every opportunity that Georgia Tech has. Every time someone has the ball, they need to try and gain possession, knock the ball out, and they just haven't done that early on.
This one's going to roll to the sideline and will belong to NC State, so it's not a face-off win, technically speaking, but it'll function the same.
Yeah, and while it's not a face-off win, it's good to have while Georgia Tech has been dominating this game despite the 3-2 deficit.
So another offensive possession for the NC State Wolfpack. First time they've played from behind in this ball game. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. 3-2 Jackets. NC State already starting to try to brew something in the middle. They'll continue to go around the perimeter. Could be a chance here, one-on-one. The shot, good stop by Lacrosse. Rebound corralled by Georgia Tech. Light pressure by NC State. That's a ground ball crossing the line. The Wolfpack have it. The LSM, great play. Cody Stanford, who has a goal this game, makes the play. This is Melton. Moves it ahead. NC State back on the attack. Could be a chance here, running in. The shot, Lacrosse's there and knocks it down.
Best save from him we've seen so far.
Carter Rucker could not get it to go. First shot for Rucker of the ball game. Lacrosse will walk this one up. To the 40. To the 50. In trouble. Nearly went offside before he caught himself. Ahead of the line and pushing. Goggins. Shucks off his man. Long shot. Staten there. Rebound is loose. Into the middle. A chance off the crossbar. State's got the rebound. A golden opportunity for the Rambling Wreck, and they can't convert. Staten rarely out of position, but he got sucked down low that time. State dodges the bullet as Adam Johnson drops it back, and State will calm the pace. Are starting to see the Jackets buzz to life a little bit, though, here next to Sinopoly.
Good pun there, Drew. Buzz to life. Yes, the Yellow Jackets, those bugs you like to say. But, I mean, I still think NC State's got some work to do, and you see right there with the costly turnover. And NC State's a little rattled right now with just the Yellow Jackets playing their own game.
Across midfield, GT on the attack. To the 20. Connolly. Double teamed. NC State likes to do that whenever they're trying to force a turnover. Certainly Chris Demarest is starting to feel a little bit of the heat, and that's not just the humid Georgia night. Clouds starting to cover the sky above us as we head into the twilight phase of the evening. We'll be shrouded in total darkness after halftime.
You know, Demarest, you spoke to him before the game. He'd like to have 3 goals per quarter, and he's almost at that mark with 2.
The catch to that is you've got to have your defense be able to hold.
Yeah, I mean, they need to get a stop here and then maybe get another goal in the waning minutes of the first. But, you know, overall, not completely disappointed with the NC State Wolfpack's performance in the first. It's just that they've really got to win those face-offs in the middle and have a better presence on the perimeter on defense.
2 minutes to go in the quarter. The Jackets just wasting clock here. Russell Gardner moves into the middle. The shot. Staten is there. Parker Staten is holding his own once again. Arguably a top 3 goaltender in the SELC. If he's not the top dog, I'd like to see who is. Methodical passing. NC State using speed. Across the stripe. Dangerous pass. NC State gets away with it. They'll establish possession 3-on-3 down below the 25-yard line.
You know what I'd like to see NC State do, Drew, is really maybe play a more team-oriented game, because while they show some good patience and good passing and ball movement on the perimeter, their goals are really looking more like unassisted and just isolation moves. They really need to try and get more better shots on the inside.
Minute to go in the first quarter. To the top, State driving. Good shoulder move. That one's deflected out of a crosshead, a ground ball. Georgia Tech's got it. It's scooped up by Sam Rubin, the team president. And now Rubin's got to find a way to loft it ahead of the midfield line, and does. Could be a chance for Georgia Tech. Right in front. The shot is well wide. Working over toward the sideline. And NC State's going to get possession of the ball here with 33 seconds to go in the quarter.
And that's a big win right there. Good confidence boost to stop the fast break from the Yellow Jackets, but NC State's got to capitalize on this final 30 seconds.
Far side. Sarley. Holding on to it here. Sends a bad pass, but it's taken by Adam Johnson, who's wearing an S on his chest for Superman recently, not for NC State. Johnson's had a hat trick in each of the last 2 regular season games. 5 seconds to go in the quarter. State looking for a shot. Here's the spin. Scored! Will it count? Yes, it does! We're tied! 3-3, a buzzer beater. Absolutely unbelievable, Nick Sinopoli. The NC State Wolfpack will hold their own here as they've tied the game 3-3 with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at the end of the first quarter.
You know, it caught me by surprise there, Drew. I didn't know if it was going to go in, and it just, he walks off like he's been there before, and just an incredible play from him. I'm speechless. 3-3 with 1 second remaining, and we'll head.
This is going to be nothing but formality. The whistle's going to blow. The horn is going to sound. The NC State Wolfpack hold their own in the first 15 minutes with the number 3 team in the nation. It's a 3-3 tie at the end of the first quarter. We'll be right back with the SELC quarterfinals with the score: the NC State Wolfpack 3, the number 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 3. We'll be back with the second quarter after this. This is PackTV. 3-3 is the score as we come back to you just outside of Atlanta, Johns Creek, Georgia. Drew Blevins alongside of Nick Sinopoli. The NC State Wolfpack holding their own with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets so far. Nick, are you surprised?
I'm not going to lie, I am a little bit surprised just because that Georgia Tech has dominated time of possession, Drew. They've won nearly every faceoff, but NC State has been able to capitalize on their possessions, far and few between that they may be. But NC State holding their own. I expect the Yellow Jackets to pick it up, though, and possibly increase the score and try and get out to a hefty lead.
3 other games going on in the SELC Division I quarterfinals. Virginia Tech and Florida playing at Alpharetta High School. Florida State and Liberty playing out of Mount Pisgah. And at North Forsyth, the Clemson Tigers and the Auburn Tigers are tied up 1-1.
Clemson, a team that NC State had lost to earlier in the season just by 1 goal.
And you look at how 1 goal changes the course of a season.
Yeah.
NC State could very well be playing an Auburn team that
a very beatable team.
An under 500 overall Auburn team. 3-2 in the SELC Southwest. They play in the same division as Georgia Tech. Here's a run to the net, no shot.
Yeah, they're 4-7 overall, but they squeak in by stealing a couple of wins in the conference.
And 3 division wins will certainly help you do that. Ground ball is loose. NC State's on top of it, and the Wolfpack are charging the opposite direction. Huge hit, and we're going to see the first flag of the game. NC State is going to go on the man advantage.
Huge opportunity for the Wolfpack. Remember, they've been scant in holding the ball, but a good defensive play right there leads to a man-up advantage, and that is huge for the NC State Wolfpack. Chris Damaris must be licking his chops right now. This will be huge if NC State can capitalize.
The foul was committed by Brian Connolly as well. He'll go down to 1 knee here as Ken Lovett comes over and has a quick discussion with one of his goal scorers. NC State will go on a man advantage for 30 seconds. We'll see what Chris Demarest has in the playbook. Relying a lot on some of the players he coached as an assistant under Chip Thurston for the past 4 seasons. A lot of assistant coaches on this Wolfpack team, former players, and we'll see what's drawn up here by the offensive masterminds. Quick passing. Good defense by Tech. To the top, Melton rolls it to Nick Davis. He goes by the near side post. To the top. Wheeled around. Chance for NC State. They'll retreat back behind the net. Back all even. Johnson sends it around. This is a wild pass out toward the sideline. Turned over. Tech ball.
Squandered opportunity for the NC State Wolfpack. It looks like they weren't aggressive enough, in my opinion, Drew. They kept passing it around the perimeter up in the left wing side. Looks like they were trying to generate some offense, but just the Georgia Tech defense is doing wonders.
And they had good pacing there, too. It was a very, very, very quick-moving offense.
It's just that they didn't really pressure the net.
12:25 to go in this second quarter. Still knotted up 3-3. Peterson goes back up to the top as Frost moves it along. Chance here, long shot, well wide. Gabe Banks doesn't get it to go. Couple of missed opportunities for Georgia Tech here at the beginning of the second quarter. Time of possession continues to be dominated by the Rambling Wreck. A little bit of high pass that Frost pulls down. Moves it to the 10-yard line. Peterson taking a beating. Turns, misses wide. This is out of bounds. Georgia Tech will keep possession. They'll work to the top this time. Frost. Guarded closely by Tyler Horner. Into the middle. Ground ball. Wolfpack take it. Georgia Tech struggling here in the second quarter. This is not a GT team that typically plays very well in the first portion of the game. Going to get the ball back here, though, as it was thrust out of bounds. Nice little cross check right there under the rib cage. Forces an off-balance play to be made by NC State. Russell Gardner gives to Peterson. Tech will roll. Gardner. To the top. Chris O'Brien shovels it along. He'll get it back. Gardner. The 20-yard line, loses possession. State nearly had the ground ball. Georgia Tech picks it back up, though. Good move here to the middle. The shot. State might have gotten a piece of it. Georgia Tech's going to keep possession. Not sure if Parker Staten did end up getting a piece of that. Peterson in a little bit of trouble. He's being double-teamed. To the middle, the shot. It was blocked on the way through. Ground ball, and guess who? The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets swarming. Behind the net, Peterson goes to the top, and Gardner. A juke move. Into the middle. Poor pass, but backed up nicely by number 22, Chris O'Brien, a freshman midfielder from Clark Summit, Pennsylvania. He'll get it again. Drive to the side. To the top, Gardner. Long shot, blocked immediately. Sky high up in the air. Tech, of course, will hold possession. NC State defense is giving the Yellow Jackets a run for their money. 9:39 to go in the second quarter. Georgia Tech has possessed the ball for all but about 45 seconds of this second frame. Have not scored yet. Ken Lovick chugging the water. It's been a vocal night so far for the Georgia Tech coach. His 21st season. To the middle. Staten scoops it up for the Wolfpack. It's the kind of extended possession where you've got to find a way to score, Nick Sinopoli, and Georgia Tech unable to do so there.
Yeah, and
I got to give props to the Wolfpack on that one, Drew. I think the Wolfpack won that battle. I don't know if it was necessarily missed opportunities for the Yellow Jackets. I just think the guy in net has had a great night, and it's shown keeping his team in this ballgame.
Ground ball, State all over it. Georgia Tech flushed out of the foxhole, dangerously close to out of bounds, thrust forward, it's a ground ball. Tech after it. They've got it. They'll utilize Lacalzi.
And again, right there, that's just a lost opportunity for NC State.
Adam Johnson was open for a pass, and there's a misfire coming out of one of the long pole sticks. I couldn't tell who it was. Another chance for the Jackets. Frost. Jogging in. Good move. To the near side post, into the middle. The shot scored! Georgia Tech takes the lead back 4-3. Brian Connolly hanging out right in front of the crease once again, scores. 4-3 for Georgia Tech. Just that repeated pattern. Keep going back to the front. Keep going back to the front. And the NC State Wolfpack are going to call a timeout and try to regroup, sensing a big possession coming up here.
And rightfully so. You know, I know we sound like a broken record here, but it's been just amazing to see what Georgia Tech has been able to do in the circle. That's the reason they're ahead in this game, but you got to give props to Parker Staten. That guy is doing wonders in net, and it's the reason NC State is in this ballgame.
They'll take a break on the field. We'll take it with them. The score, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 4, the NC State Wolfpack 3. We'll be back with more SELC Lacrosse after this. Welcome back to Northview Stadium. The NC State Wolfpack sensing a big possession coming up here following this face-off. Nick, how big is this face-off coming up here as Georgia Tech is going to scoop this one up, and they're going to get a chance to extend the lead again?
You know, it was pretty big, but, you know, NC State just unable to do anything in the face-off circle with Austin Bell not making the trip this weekend. And it's a shame. NC State has been great in time of possession usually. It's just that the Yellow Jackets are just one of those formidable opponents. But as we see right there, NC State holding its own on defense, only down one. But this possession right here, in my opinion, is huge because NC State has only been down one goal in this game at times, and the same goes for the Yellow Jackets. So to be down by 2 goals would be a whole another monster for the Wolfpack.
Could be a chance. Melton works in. He shoots. He scores! Jesse Melton on an outstanding individual effort ties the game at 4.
You know, I figured NC State was more of a team kind of game. I don't know what that necessarily means, but, you know, they really kind of work together. They're very cooperative with each other, not really an individual kind of team where they'll do some isolation moves, but NC State right there once again with Jesse Melton just on the breakaway right there. You know, we talk about, you know, some hockey terminology, Drew. You know, you got to dabble that every once in a while, but we saw Cody Stanford go in there on his own, so a lot of unassisted opportunities for NC State Wolfpack. Really surprised by it.
I'm wondering if that was a set piece coming out of the timeout just in case NC State lost the faceoff, because Jesse Melton was a step ahead of everybody, and there was a little bit of pressure coming from behind. Georgia Tech coming right back. Could be a chance here. The shot, they scored. They've got the lead again. Holland Frost off the draw, walks in, fires, and scores.
I guess we spoke too soon, Drew, but you know, Georgia Tech just says, hey, you know, you're going to do that with Jesse Melton. We'll match you right there, and they go back up 1. You know, I wasn't expecting a game like this, but going back and forth, you can only just be happy and watch this, a competitive ball game.
This is one of the best matchups of the weekend. The only one really that comes close to rivaling it is number 8 Florida State and number 17 Liberty. They're playing out at North Forsyth. This is a battle of the number 3 team in the nation, an NC State team that felt disrespected after losing to a Clemson team receiving votes by 1, after losing to a ranked Pittsburgh team by 1 and defeating number 19 South Carolina.
Georgia Tech, once again, just dominating those ground balls. And when Georgia Tech is on offense and they're getting those shots on Parker State, and NC State not able to corral the rebounds, and that's resulted in the increased opportunities for the Yellow Jackets.
The Ramblin' Wreck. Peterson. Forced to the sideline. This is a State defense that is starting to become a little spread thin. We'll see what they have up their sleeves here. This is Russell Gardner. One-on-one. Spins out of some trouble, but doesn't have a whole lot of room to work with. So he retreats back to Holland Frost, who has a very good release. Frost. One-on-one. Can't get around his man. Well defended. Frost sends a ground ball that might have been kicked around momentarily. Fielded nicely nonetheless, though. Charging in. Frost shoots over top the net.
And that's what we're used to seeing for both of these teams. It's just, it really means a lot when you see these teams really struggling both on the offensive side of the ball. I know it's a 5-4 game, but these teams are used to scoring in the 15s, sometimes in the 19s. And for Georgia Tech, they've posted multiple 20-plus scoring efforts, but the defense on both of these squads has just been incredible, in my opinion.
That shot's wide again. If Georgia Tech had been more accurate with their shots in this quarter specifically, they could be up by more than just a single goal. This time of possession is starting to get worrisome. Frost shot is wide. It's been a firing squad on Parker Staten so far. Hadn't had to make a ton of saves by virtue of the fact not a lot of these have been on frame. But Georgia Tech is letting them rip at will. Connolly. Spinning and heading toward the net. He goes back behind. To the top. Gardner. Finds his man, Gabriel Banks. Here's the shot. That ricochets off the crossbar and out. That's a pair of unkind irons for Georgia Tech in this game. One in the first quarter, one in the second. 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Georgia Tech 5, NC State 4. To the middle. Scored! And Georgia Tech has the largest lead for any team in the game at 2 goals. Into the middle, Gabriel Banks puts it in. 6-4 Jackets.
And this is do or die time for NC State by that nice goal from number 33, Gabriel Banks. Good inside opportunity, good shot selection by the Yellow Jackets. If you're Chris Damrest, you got to rally the troops right now. A 3-goal deficit might be too much to come back from in a tightly contested game as we are witnessing right now.
Well, the halftime break is going to be a time for NC State to find a way to adjust, but Georgia Tech has been a finishing team, not a starting team so far this year. So you got to imagine that the Yellow Jackets are going to come out with a little more fire as well. Face-off is steered in NC State's attacking end. It doesn't matter. Georgia Tech has dominated the face-off circle. I mean, Nixonopoly, it hadn't even really been close.
No, you're right. And I know we sound like a broken record, but it's really every face-off that the Yellow Jackets are winning. And it's the reason they're up in this game. And to be honest, if it wasn't for NC State's executions on offense, the Yellow Jackets could be up big right now, Drew.
Georgia Tech was granted a timeout before NC State took over possession. So Georgia Tech is going to hold the ball, but we'll step aside for a short break with 4:31 to go in the second quarter. Georgia Tech 6, NC State 4 in the SELC quarterfinal. Jacket ball as we come back with 4:31 to go in the second quarter. Number 3, Georgia Tech leading NC State in the SELC quarterfinal 6-4. Winner advances to play tomorrow at 8 p.m. The loser goes home. If you want to look at how close NC State was to drawing something else, if they had beaten Clemson, NC State would be playing Auburn. If Georgia had been able to capitalize on a halftime lead, NC State would probably be playing Georgia. Neither here nor there at this point, though. Does make you wonder, though, Nixonopoly, are there reforms for the way that the SELC should work this playoff in a true seeding format, not division versus division? NC State continues to fight. Tyler Horner forces the turnover. Sullivan takes a swipe in stride. Miller Barber Back behind the net. Pressured closely by James Clancy. State circles back to the top. Kevin Barry's back out there. He's got a pair, including a buzzer beater at the end of the first quarter. One of the more exciting goals we've seen so far this game. Blackwelder sends it low. Pressure defense here. Barber goes around back behind the net. Let's move to the top. The Wolfpack continue to cycle. Barry dodges, looking for a shot. Instead, he passes along, and NC State continues to motor the ball around the circle. Georgia Tech's defense really hasn't shown a lot of weakness if they're set. That being the key word. LaCalzi hasn't played tremendously, but his defense hasn't allowed him to see a lot of shots. To the top, Melton shoots one, scores! Jesse Melton with a bounce shot, a one-hopper to the upper corner, 6-5.
NC State down but not out. Second goal of the afternoon, the evening, really dark here at Northview High School. But second goal of the evening for Jesse Melton. NC State thought they were going to be almost done, to be honest, for the rest of the second quarter, but able to react to that formidable Yellow Jacket offense. Only down 5-6 now, still a lot of lacrosse left to play.
Even insofar as in the second quarter as well, if NC State could find a way to tie this game, it would be considered a success. This is a feisty Wolfpack team, and we had talked about in the pregame, all three losses this season for NC State come by a deficit of 1 goal. This has been a team that has been a shot or two away from being undefeated, at least being ranked. Some bounces just haven't gone their way. Undoubtedly, if NC State can find a way to pull this upset, it would be the biggest in program history. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets have playoff win after playoff win after playoff win. Nothing more than notches to go along with feathers in their illustrious cap. The NC State Wolfpack are looking for the school's first playoff win.
We spoke earlier that, in my opinion and your opinion as well, either team who comes out on top tonight, they could win the whole dang thing, wouldn't you say?
The only team that I see being able to give NC State or Georgia Tech a run for their money would be Florida State.
But,
and they've got to make it by Liberty.
And these two teams right here proven, at least right now, to be the best. I thought this is really Georgia Tech's tournament to lose, but NC State giving them trouble. So, in my opinion, two best teams in the tournament.
This could very well be the most intriguing matchup you get to see all weekend, unless it's Florida State and Georgia Tech in the final, or Florida State and NC State in the final, for that matter. A lot of lacrosse left to be played before we can even start to surmise about that. Good movement here from Banks. He goes to the post. The shot off the side of the goal. NC State's defense holds with 90 seconds to go in the first half of play. Staten flings it ahead. State onside, and away they go. Nick, are you thinking the Wolfpack might look to hold here for a timeout? Potentially. That's exactly what they're going to do.
It looks like they'll do just that. So, good idea to kind of replicate what you did in the first, have another goal to tie it up in the waning minute of this second quarter. But Damaris right now doing great with his adjustments, Drew. He's been great in his first year as head coach for the NC State Wolfpack, but he's keeping it in this game, and it's an exciting one.
Chris Demarest will try to chalk up one more play before the quarter's end. The score with 71 seconds to go in the first half. The number 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 6 and the NC State Wolfpack 5. We'll be back with the conclusion of the first half after these messages. The NC State Wolfpack are in a dogfight with number 3 in the MCLA, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Down a goal, 6-5. Possession belongs to the red and white from State. Chris Demarest drew up a breakaway play to Jesse Melton the first time he took a timeout. And now NC State is looking to see what they can get going here, and the answer is not a lot. Turnover on an errant pass out the back end. 57 seconds to go in the second quarter of play. Georgia Tech with a chance to extend the lead. Wouldn't surprise me if Ken Lovick, once getting across midfield here, looks at a timeout. Open space, though. And there it is. Ken Lovick opts for the timeout. Georgia Tech will have 40 seconds to work with. That's the final timeout for either side of the first quarter. We'll step aside and take the break with them. This is the SELC quarterfinals on PackTV. Ball in play after coming out of a timeout. 40 seconds and ticking down. As the Yellow Jackets play on the perimeter. Nick, do you think Tech's looking for the last shot here?
Oh, of course, Drew. You know, Chris Dameris had the right idea in taking that timeout, trying to get one more good opportunity to tie the game, and they squandered that. But definitely look for the Yellow Jackets to be a little patient and then try and get a good inside look. They've had two, and it's boded well for them.
Takedown in the middle. State going after the loose ball. Hack and whack time. Wolfpack on top of it. 2-1. It doesn't matter. Horn sounds, and there is the half. Georgia Tech holding a one-goal lead by a count of 6-5 after one half here in the SELC quarterfinal, Nick.
You know, I'm tremendously surprised that NC State is honestly in this one based upon their time of possession, but you gotta tip your hats to them, Drew. They've capitalized on their possessions. Parker Staten has been incredible in net for the Wolfpack, but Georgia Tech, if they keep playing this way, Drew, if NC State is not able to dominate time of possession a little bit better in the second half, this is Georgia Tech's game to lose.
Well, the number 3 team in the nation so far taking care of business. It hasn't necessarily been convincing. The NC State Wolfpack trailing Georgia Tech 6-5 as we head to halftime. We'll step aside for a short break. Coming back on the other side, Nick Sinopoli and I will talk about what we saw during the first half of play and what we expect to see in the remaining 30 minutes. This is PackTV's coverage of the SELC quarterfinals, bringing you into the Pack. We welcome you back to Johns Creek, Georgia. Drew Blevins alongside Nick Sinopoli at halftime here at Northview Stadium. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets holding a 6-5 lead on the NC State Wolfpack. Nick Sinopoli, your general impressions of the way the first half went?
You know, I would say it's not a success for either team. You know, Wolfpack on one hand, they have not been able to do anything in the face-off circle. I'm tremendously surprised that they're only down 1 in this game, just because Georgia Tech has been able to dominate in the face-off circle. They're able to, in my opinion, it looks like they should be able to score at will, but you got to tip your hat to Parker State in the net. That guy's been incredible. We talked about that 67 save percentage coming into this contest, and the defense has been incredible, clogging the net, preventing inside opportunities, although the Yellow Jackets have been able to capitalize on 2 of them. But Yellow Jackets should be up by 4, in my opinion, in this game. I don't necessarily think NC State has played well. I think Georgia Tech's doing good. It's just you got to give credit to Chris Dameris. What he's been able to do and the few opportunities the Wolfpack has had, it's been tremendous, and he's the reason that they're in this game.
When I look at the way this first half went for NC State, I agree with you. I think they got completely and totally outplayed. But I think what I saw from the Wolfpack is that there's a lot of fight left in this dog. NC State did not give up. They've suffered a lot of setbacks. Austin Bell not being in the face-off circle right now is the most glaring one. But Parker Staten in net has really kept the NC State Wolfpack in this game. He's been nothing short of brilliant so far. And Georgia Tech was a frustrated shooting team. They missed a lot of opportunities in the second quarter, and we'll see if Ken Lovick has his guys straightened out as we head into the second half. As you look forward, what's the biggest adjustment each team needs to make moving ahead into the final 30 minutes?
You know, for Georgia Tech, it's definitely to get more looks inside. They've been able to do it twice. I think they can do it again if they can. I think it's going to be a huge boost for their offense and a big boost for their confidence because they're not been able to get a lot of connection on a lot of those shots. For the NC State Wolfpack, it's the face-off circle, Drew. You know, you've got to capitalize there. And also, those fast breaks have been working well. Maybe try and do that again with a goal like we saw from Jesse Melson and Cody Stanford. Keep going, keep doing what's working, and fast breaks are working for them.
I'm looking for Georgia Tech to continue their shooting, and I think the biggest thing they have to work on is finding accuracy. Yep. They've got a lot of guys with an excellent release. That could victimize NC State very, very easily and could put them to sleep very quickly in this game. For the NC State Wolfpack, I think it's actually going to come down to a lot of their passing, getting out of the zone. Georgia Tech has been very good of keeping all of their attackmen forward and putting pressure on the NC State back line. State has struggled at times getting the ball across midfield. The Wolfpack are converting on their offensive opportunities for the most part. They're only a goal down so far, but it's a matter of creating those opportunities right now for NC State that's holding them back. Nick, it's going to be a barn burner of a finish. I can't wait for this one.
You know, I'm really excited, Drew. Didn't expect this. NC State pressuring the number 3 team in the country. It proves to be an exciting one.
The third quarter between Georgia Tech and NC State is next on PackTV. Welcome back to Johns Creek, Georgia. Second half action of the SELC quarterfinal between the number 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and the NC State Wolfpack. I'm Drew Blevins alongside of Nick Sinopoli. Nick, NC State cannot get an opening face-off win. Georgia Tech continues their offensive possession. They have dominated the TOP so far. What have you seen out of this Jackets team?
You know, I've just seen a pure willingness to just do whatever they want in the face-off circle, Drew, and they've been able to get shots on net, just haven't been able to convert them by the great play from Parker Staten, and honestly just the inaccuracy from the Yellow Jackets, but look for that to change. I think if they can get a lot more shots on net, they'll eventually go down.
NC State working right back up the sideline. It's a possession for the Wolfpack crossing the midfield stripe. Adam Johnson from Devin Johnson, and he'll set things up. Nick, does NC State need to find a way to be a little bit more aggressive shooting the ball this half?
You know, one of my friends, Adam Main, back home at NC State, he played lacrosse in high school, a great player himself, and he always said that no matter what you do in lacrosse, you've just constantly got to be aggressive, and especially on defense. You witness right there that Georgia Tech is just able to really be a thorn in the side of the Wolfpack and regain possession. That's the reason that Georgia Tech has been up for the majority of this contest. They've been able to do what they've wanted to. It's just that the Wolfpack have been able to capitalize.
Well, it was not an extended offensive possession for the NC State Wolfpack, to say the least. Wouldn't surprise me either if Georgia Tech could find a way to score a couple quick and started to run some clock. This is a Tech team often finding themselves scoring in double digits. They're 4 off of the pace after one half of play. Gardner rolls to the top. He's going to get it back. Gardner sends a pass, ricocheted dangerously back through the middle. Georgia Tech scrambling a little bit. Loose ball on the ground. State fighting for it. Wolfpack chasing after it. And it's rolling back up to midfield. State has it. Here they come with speed. Through everybody. A chance to tie. They scored! NC State ties the game at 6. Tyler Horner!
Taking himself, Tyler Horner, with just an incredible play and speed from him. You don't see that often from the defenseman, the junior defenseman, excuse me, but he's one of the more lankier guys of the team, not really known as a speedster, but he takes it himself.
It's a pair of long sticks who have scored now for NC State, too.
First Stanford and now him. NC State making it a team effort, scoring coming from everywhere.
Nick Davis will go back in the circle here. An NC State face-off win could very well silence the strong amount of Georgia Tech fans who are here. You're Ken Lovick. Are you sitting on pins and needles right now, Nick?
Oh, totally, man. You kidding me? This game is... They should
be scored! Not even 10 seconds later, the Jackets have the lead again.
You know, I spoke too soon. I guess he's not, because they're able to just keep on keeping on, unfazed by the runs the NC State Wolfpack are making. But, I mean, back and forth game, Drew. I mean, I'm not disappointed by this game. Are you? I mean, I'm enjoying it.
It's been entertaining, to say the least. This is playoff lacrosse. Walker and Davis to go at it again. Nearly every battle has belonged to Walker. Davis tried to push him back and can't get anything going. Here comes a tandem of State defenders. We got a flag coming here. Georgia Tech's going to go a man up. We've got a few out there. Free possession for the Yellow Jackets now.
And that's huge for them because, you know, they've been able to do what they wanted on the perimeter. And after this, going a man up, that's huge.
Well, the possession in itself doesn't do much. NC State will go down. The question is, will they just go down one or will they go down a pair here? There are 3 flags scattered. Is an offside infraction. And NC State is going to go down 2 here. Michael Sullivan and Miller Barber. So this is a giant chance for the Yellow Jackets to go back up 2.
And that's just the over-eagerness of the Wolfpack to try and force a turnover. But, you know, if you're Chris Demarest, of course you hate to see that, but you're glad that NC State is bringing the energy despite being down in this game. But being down 2 is huge.
Long shot scores! The Yellow Jackets capitalize on the 2-man up situation, 8-6.
That's the biggest lead of this game, Drew.
And tied for it.
And that really just goes to show just the competitiveness, of this contest. But you got to feel like that one really hurts for NC State because that one could have been avoided by the offside penalties.
NC State just got a little overzealous. Those are frustrating penalties in the sense that you don't want to take them, and it's not an infraction like you'd see a slash or a hold or a tug, but it's one where the foot falls just across the line. Georgia Tech rakes out another face-off. Shane Walker has been doing yeoman's work there.
You know, I hate to say it again, but you just kind of wonder what this game would be like if Austin Bell was in the circle.
I just kind of wonder if you're NC State, if you really look at attacking Georgia Tech as they come across midfield and putting a lot of faith in your long pulls.
Possibly even putting someone else in the circle, too.
I think Nick Davis is going to be the guy that you leave in there. State has had a tradition of good face-off men. That dates back to Weston Sadovi.
Ground ball takeaway by Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, another takeaway. Yee zips it across. Move to the top, Andrew Yee. Gives back. Good move forward here by Georgia Tech. Wild shot, sails high. Staten tried to claw at it, but even a jumping goaltender couldn't pull it back down, so Tech will set up from behind the net. A goal here would make the molehill a mountain for NC State. 10:35 to go in the second quarter. Georgia Tech with a 2-goal lead. NC State tied it very early to start this third quarter. Georgia Tech has since answered and added. Behind the net they go. Bounce pass. Fielded cleanly. Peterson to the middle. You gotta imagine Ken Lovick's still gonna say if his team wins this one, there's still going to be things that need to be sharpened upon heading into tomorrow's semifinal. Good movement forward by Chatlin. Behind the net, good run, ground ball. The State defense had it. It rolls back out. Tech picks it up. Takedown off the ball, no call. Peterson spins. Turning with it.
Crease violation against
Whistle blows, crease violation. State ball. Georgia Tech has bailed out the Wolfpack on more than a couple of occasions by their own errors too, Nick.
Oh, and you're right. And that's the only – that fault and maybe executing on offense, the accuracy on their shots are just a few things that they have not been able to do well in this game. But it really looks like you're just trying to pick out some things that the Yellow Jackets have done wrong. You're trying – it seems like we're being a little nitpicky, but, you know, still some things to sharpen if they do pull this one out, but can't be too disappointed in their effort.
Georgia Tech battles NC State, forcing them out of bounds.
goes out of bounds by the Wolfpack. Turnover.
And the Yellow Jacket defense, despite the fact that their offense has scored 2, the Jacket defense, ever since allowing the only goal they have in the second half, has tightened the screws tremendously. Staten kicks this one out with authority.
Goalie saved by Parker Stepp.
Tech's going to hang on to this.
And another thing that Georgia Tech has done well is they've dominated, the ground in the ground ball category. I mean, every loose ball that has been out there, it seems that they've been to it first, and the exact opposite for NC State. Looks like they haven't been as aggressive on defense right now in this third quarter, especially since they allowed that man-up goal. But love what Georgia Tech's doing. They're constantly swarming around the ball.
Good defense here by NC State. Ground ball out to midfield. Tech had it, lost it. Everybody's on side. Frost picks it up, loses it again. State after it, nobody home. Georgia Tech swarms the ball like no other team.
Is it a coincidence that the Yellow Jackets are swarming?
I wasn't even going for anything punny in that scenario either. Just lends itself to it.
I got to pick that up since you're leaving, Drew. I think I'm the one who needs to carry on the horrible puns that you oh so love.
It would be a proud legacy to carry on at PackTV. Staten is there! One of his best of the night as he robs Peterson. NC State continuing to rely on their goaltending. This is all the way across the field. Excellent one-on-one defense by the Yellow Jackets. Good move by NC State to get out of trouble. They'll set it up. Melton coming back on for the Wolfpack. This is Michael Sullivan handling the ball. Looking for a friendly face to pass to. He finds one. We'll see if this set of 6 can find a way to score number 7 for the NC State Wolfpack. On a scoring drought, extending 8 minutes now. State loses the ball. Got a whistle. We could have a slash.
Flag is down.
And I believe this is going to go against Georgia Tech.
And it will be. It looks like it's number 33 for the Yellow Jackets serving the penalty. And that'll be Gabriel Banks. I believe so. Yep, it is.
Banks off, man-up situation for the Wolfpack. 6:13 to go, third quarter.
Penalty for offsides.
It's an offside penalty against Georgia Tech.
Extra man offense.
Second man-up chance for the Wolfpack, 0 for 1 on the day. Melton touches it along, Barry. He'll get it back. Barry thought about the shot. He goes to the top. Good defense by Georgia Tech. Good move to the front, around State, spins to the front. The shot rings off the goalpost and stays out. State holds the rebound.
And that's a heartbreaker right there, Drew. I mean, to have that go off the crossbar. That crossbar down there hasn't been kind to both teams.
To the middle again. Great stop by LaCalzi. His best of the night, undoubtedly. Corralled here and moved ahead by Will Byers. You talked about him in the pregame. He bails him out. Georgia Tech back on offense. To the middle. Ball on the ground. State chasing it. Spin move. Tech forced to hold. Both teams still possessing both timeouts. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. To the middle. Frost scores! Holland Frost makes it 9-6, and number 3 is up 3.
Not a nice score right there for the NC State Wolfpack. They're struggling. They've got to find their footing, surrendering 3 straight goals to the Yellow Jackets. Their defense hasn't looked as great in the first, and the Yellow Jackets have just made the better adjustments in the second half. And the Yellow Jackets just dominating time of possession. It's been the story, and it will be the reason.
And this is where the resiliency of the NC State Wolfpack gets tested. Goal stopping a goal, they're right back where they want to be. Chris Demarest is going to undoubtedly be proud of this effort, though. This Wolfpack team has fought hard regardless of result. Hounding defense. Ball is loose on the end line. Rolls out of bounds. Ball stays with the Wolfpack. The Yellow Jackets will howl at the officials after that one.
Loose ball push against Tech. Wolfpack will maintain possession.
State's going to get it off of a push call more so than the out of bounds, is what we're being told over public address. 4:30 to go, third quarter. NC State will set it up offensively. Zipped across, dangerous pass into the feet of Jesse Melton. He loses it.
Defensive takeaway by
Byers, or pardon, not Byers, rather it was Jack Topping
Jack Topping
from Vero Beach, Florida.
And there's been a couple of those, Drew, where they're just passing across. You know, the shorter passes are safer. And
charging ahead. Yee shoots, scores. Andrew Yee from Boulder, Colorado makes it 10-6. And the Yellow Jackets are really starting to buzz now.
And, you know, that this is what we predicted. It was going to be one of these teams making the better adjustments. Honestly, I thought Chris Demarest was the better coach in the first half. I thought coming out of the break, right before the break, in the first quarter, coming off that final goal to tie it 3-3. And then in the second quarter, I thought NC State had really been able to capitalize on their possessions. But right now, the Georgia Tech defense has been so aggressive that NC State has basically had zero opportunities in this second half. Ken Lovick is just doing wonders right now on the sidelines, and I think he's
21
got to start
years
thinking about. Yeah, I mean, he's 21 years in, coaching
at the same
game,
school,
and he's definitely got experience backing him up.
It's a Georgia Tech team that has nearly twice as many players as the NC State Wolfpack, double the coaching staff, including a recruiting coordinator. Loose ball, State's got it.
Defensive takeaway by the Wolfpack.
NC State trying to find a pulse here. 3 minutes to go, third quarter.
You've got to get another goal here if you're NC State.
I think you've got to get a pair.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, one, just to build the confidence, and two, to be back in this ball game.
A lot can happen in lacrosse. Georgia Tech, though, has a reputation for closing games.
You got to remember, NC State was up 10-1 at one point to the South Carolina Gamecocks, number 19 team in the country, and NC State let them come back, ending up winning 14-10, though. But anything can happen in lacrosse, so don't expect this lead to just stay. I think NC State will have to get in and, do something on offense, Drew, because that Yellow Jacket defense has been so aggressive. They force so many turnovers for NC State.
To the top and back around for Kevin Barry. 2 minutes to go in the quarter. Barry sends one to the front, scored! And there is a sign of life. Miller Barber hanging out on the near side post puts it in. 10-7.
Kevin Berry, number 36, on the assist.
A nice backdoor pass. They've been looking for that all night, Drew, and they finally get one from Miller Barber. Good to see him finally get a goal.
Minute 56 to go in the third quarter. A face-off win for NC State could be very useful here. Although usefulness aside, they haven't had a lot positive happening in the face-offs. One back, Georgia Tech scoops it.
Face-off control by Georgia Tech.
The Wolfpack are putting themselves in a position where you're going to have to play a little bit of sellout defense fairly early on in the fourth quarter. Just a stop here would be nice, especially if you can have time to try to convert it to a goal at the other end. You got to think going down into the fourth quarter down 2 is going to be considered a success, Nick.
Oh, yeah. I think if NC State can get another goal, to add to their score. It's going to be a big confidence boost, especially if they can prevent one right here for Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech been able to score at will, Drew. You know, they're dominating ground balls. They're dominating time of possession. Nothing's changed. They've just kept on keeping on, just getting better at their craft.
Bouncing ball.
1 minute remaining in the
Chased
third.
over to the sideline. Good pressure by the State defense. They're going to get the ball back.
And you've got to wonder if Amherst is about to take a timeout with 1 minute to go to get another scoring chance.
Highly doubt it here unless something just goes completely haywire, considering it's only the third quarter.
By Tech, turnover to the Wolfpack.
Little traffic direction. Open space. Stanford again looking, and he has to pass it off. Tech picked up on him that time. He had a lot of space, though.
Almost the third goal from a long hand. From a long stick. One coming from Stanford, the other coming from Tyler Horner. Both those guys getting goals, not usually around the ball a lot.
25 seconds. Melton, one-on-one. Turns. Melton with space. Sends it low. Here's a chance to the middle. Good stop by LaCalzi. The rebound. There's none. I believe we had an off-ball push foul against NC State. It wouldn't have mattered.
By number 7, Blake Blackwell.
No. That's going to be an off-ball push on Georgia Tech. State's going to hold it with 10 seconds to go. 7 seconds to the top. Into the middle. Here's the shot. LaCalzi's there. He'll get it all the way out down to the other end. That's where the horn will sound. Georgia Tech explodes in the third quarter. They take a 10-7 lead into the final frame of regulation. Nick Sinopoli, your thoughts?
You know, when you look at LaCalzi, that was a big save right at the end of the quarter. Georgia Tech able to do what they wanted. Dominated time possession. It seems times 10 in that quarter. Able to do what they're good at, and that's spreading out the offense, being a little patient, but then getting nice unassisted opportunities on net, getting inside as well. Their defense, in my opinion, was crucial in that quarter, limiting NC State's chances, creating a lot of turnovers. NC State's got a tall order ahead of it going into the fourth.
It will be an exciting conclusion to the SELC quarterfinal. The score at the end of 3, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 10, the NC State Wolfpack 7. We'll be back after this on PackTV. It's amazing how sometime in sports that the entirety of a season boils down to only a small fraction of time. 15 minutes left for NC State to try to make a difference. Down 3 to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets here. The face-off circle has not worked for NC State. Time of possession has been dominated by Georgia Tech. This looks like a steep mountain to climb for the NC State Wolfpack. Nick Sinopoli, what does it take to get the spikes on and try to reach the summit?
You've got to be aggressive in all aspects of the game. Your entire season boils down to this final 15 minutes. NC State got to be aggressive on defense, got to force more turnovers and corral those ground balls. They have not been able to do that. They've got to just also be more aggressive on offense, Drew. They need to take more unassisted opportunities and try and pressure the net more. They haven't been able to do that. Georgia Tech has just been dominating on all aspects of this game.
If you're Ken Lovick, how soon are you willing to start wasting clock time?
You know, if I had to put a mark, if they're up 3 goals, I might say, the 5-minute mark. But, if they're
Staten with a save here, though.
If they're up, 5 or 6, you might want to start at the 8-minute mark. I mean, it's really all subjective, but I think there's still some more fight in this NC State squad.
Parker Staten has been a special goaltender here this evening. It won't show necessarily in total goals against, but what he has done for his team, including another good save percentage night, invaluable.
It's just that, if he wasn't in net, I think NC State could be down big, maybe 7 goals right now. It's just NC State has not been well in time of possession.
He's a superior ball tracker, and the good news for the Wolfpack is they have him for 2 more years. Adam Johnson, who's been quiet tonight, gets hacked on the back of the hands, gives to Blackwelder, and State will set it up. Back up to the top. Into the middle, Blackwelder shooting one, he missed wide. State will hold possession. They had to go ahead and hustle back down to the baseline to get the possession. Blackwelder again one-on-one. Takes a shove and gives. Sullivan turning behind the net. State back to the top with 2 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Turned over. Georgia Tech brings it ahead. Here comes the long pull. The shot deflects. Tech will chase it down. They'll hold possession.
Peterson there to back him up.
Behind the net, all sorts of changing going on, both sides. Tech will kill clock right back to the baseline. Schultz, the only man back there for the Wolfpack. A little help defense. Motored around by Will Clayton. Yellow call being given by Georgia Tech as they wait for the right people to get in play. Now they move it. Right back to the center. Could be a turnover here. State not quick enough. That's another thing we hadn't really harped on, but Georgia Tech's speed has been superior as well.
Oh, it's been amazing, Drew. I love what they've been doing, and it's a reason they've been dominating the time of possession is because every ground ball they seem to corral due to their speed and their swarm to the ball.
To the top it goes. Into the middle. Could be a chance. Good defense by the Wolfpack. Tech trying to tuck it in on the post side. Staten got to stick to it. Peterson shot denied by Parker Staten. Georgia Tech holding possession here. 11-17 and the clock running. Lofted on back. Frost charges in, passes it off. Here's the shot, scored. Tim Peterson finishes the job. 11-7 Georgia Tech.
That was a rip right there. No look opportunity for the Yellow Jackets. And 4 goals right now is looking like a tall order, especially in the fourth quarter.
Especially with the inability to win faceoffs.
Especially with that, you know, they're really missing Adam Bell right now, but the Jackets up 4. It's a tall order, but it's still possible for NC State. Got to win a faceoff here and there, and I mean, you've got to do the impossible here, and that's to do exactly what's been happening, winning faceoffs. Good effort from them. They just haven't been able to convert.
It might take faith, trust, and pixie dust for the NC State Wolfpack, but they'll keep fighting. This is a team that has been resilient all year long and looking to finish the year the way they have played all season long. The shot, scored!
Number 33.
Gabriel Banks. 12-7, Jackets lead.
And that one feels like it could almost be the nail in the coffin, a dagger right there from Banks, and NC State will take a timeout to try and grab their bearings and get back in this game. Drew, down 5 goals, 10:22 left. What are you doing if you're Demarest?
I think right now you've got to take this possession at a time. You've got to find a way to get the ball, whether it be triple teaming it or finding a way to try to win a face-off, get something going. But thus far for the NC State Wolfpack, not a lot going their way. Timeout on the field. We'll take it with them. The score, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 12, the NC State Wolfpack 7, 10:22 to go in the fourth quarter. The NC State Wolfpack in the hole 5 and trying to scrape out every last inch. And thus far, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets have been better, faster, stronger.
Walker wins the faceoff for Tech.
Quickly ahead again. Down by the side. Long shot. Parker Staten
shot by Brian Conley. Great save.
Staten has continued to be tremendous. NC State does find a way to grab possession here. Under 10 to go in the fourth quarter. One timeout remaining for the Wolfpack. Ground ball. Tech all over it, but it's kicked out into open space. The Wolfpack have it. Nick Davis takes one whack, takes another. That jostles the ball free. Georgia Tech came away with it initially, but couldn't get it on the second try. All the way forward. Finally into some, nope, not into some semblance of possession. Everybody content to play a little bit of field hockey, or at least that's what it appears like for the time being. Finally, somebody has possession for Georgia Tech.
And, you know, the amount of ground balls right there just really attests to how physical this game has been between these two squads.
Jackets have won the physicality battle. Quick shot, well wide.
Shot by Tim Peterson.
Peterson's been firing at will. At last check, the Auburn Tigers were all over their striped counterparts from Clemson, 6-1. So quite possibly a pair of teams could be coming out of the Southwest. But Nick, I do think this opens up a conversation. Should this tournament be seeded differently? Instead of going region by region and flip-flopping seeds, should we look at seeding at 1 to 8? Quick shot rings off the bar.
By Colin Frost off the pipe.
You know, I don't know if it's necessarily a conversation about the seeding. I think
Loose ball push by the
that
Jackets.
NC State has the second best overall record compared to Georgia Tech here.
You know, I think the conversation that should be brewing is, why isn't this NC State team ranked? In my opinion, I think this is a team that should have been ranked coming into this contest because, you know, remember, NC State had held their own for the majority of this contest, and you know, win or loss for NC State, I'd mark this as a win because this really goes to show that this program can compete with the nation's best.
Well, this is an exposure thing for the NC State Wolfpack, and
they've impressed.
In parts they have. They hung with Georgia Tech for 3 solid quarters here, and it's just gotten a little bit out of hand now.
You know, I'm still wondering, you know, if Austin Bell could compete with the likes of Shane Walker in the face-off circle, and if so, I think this contest is closer.
Georgia Tech, rightfully deserving of their title of number 3 in the nation. They have beat some of the nation's best. Their only loss coming to Colorado and Boulder, but
and they're number 4 in the country. I mean, it was number 4 in the country, I believe.
Indeed. But NC State,
just
much to their credit, has hung with Tech in some regard. And if only in the fact that they kept this a 1 and 2 goal game through the first half, tied it up in the second before things kind of went wonky. That's the only positive to take out of this. It is a major positive for an NC State lacrosse team that continues to compete. Chris Demarest remarked before playing Tech, it's not a matter of if anymore, it's a matter of when. It might not be the present for NC State, but that time is coming quickly. And under Coach Demarest's guidance, this has been one of the most historic seasons on record for the NC State Wolfpack. And I think right now what sort of epitomizes what happens to NC State is if you look back to the Clemson game, if you find a way to pull out that win, you don't have to tangle with Virginia Tech or Georgia Tech, until you get to the final. Instead, you're playing Auburn. Neither here nor there. Water under the bridge for the time being. NC State just over 6 minutes away from accepting their fate.
Shot by Tim Peterson.
How silence the bus ride back to Raleigh, though, Nick Sinopoli?
You know, I know this is a crushing loss for NC State because they had such an incredible season, only 3 losses by a total of 3 goals, but you've got to hang your heads high as you competed with the number 3 team in the country, Drew.
To the middle again, State comes up with the ball. Wondering if Ken Lovick's going to call off the Dogs here and try to get some freshman playing time in. Get down the stretch.
Back now in possession.
Just over 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Tech's going to run this one back. Georgia Tech not even interested in shooting at this point so much as they are bleeding clock.
Yeah, with 5 minutes remaining, they're going to look to bleed some clock and just think about the next round at this point.
The Yellow Jackets will continue to march on in the SELC. The dominance will continue.
5 minutes remaining.
And at this point, Drew, if the score remains, I believe that it's their tournament to lose.
This was a Jacket team that came in confident. They're going to exit this game confident. To the far side, Parker Staten gets a piece of it. Back in toward the middle. Good defense from State.
Shot by Brian Connolly.
That's one of those silver lining pieces, a footnote. It's just going to go down as a shot, but Parker Staten fighting alongside of the rest of his defensive teammates. Tech not exactly letting up either. Tim Peterson, long shot. That was blocked.
Shot by Peterson.
Four minutes remaining. Just around the perimeter like clockwork for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They will grab win number 13 on the season. Ken Lovick continues the search for 200. Inching closer. Jump shot wide.
Peterson with the shot.
Peterson has just been letting them go all night long. Peterson again. Couple of new faces here. Chitlin lets it go.
Shot by Kevin Chatlin.
Chatlin from Olney, Maryland. Only a sophomore. And Nick, here's the thing about this Georgia Tech team now.
It's a young team.
Very. You got a lot of these new guys coming in. Chatlin. That one sails.
Shot by Kevin Chatlin.
And you know what Ken Lovick has just been able to do? You know, he's not only a coach for the Yellow Jackets, he coaches youth teams across Georgia and
Georgia Copperheads.
And he's almost turning into a farm system, really recruiting his own guys and bringing them to Georgia Tech and just continuing the dominance. So
the other catch is with the recruiting coordinator that Georgia Tech has.
You've got to wonder
12
when
Georgia
they're
natives.
going to make a push for the NCAA Division I.
And it could be sooner rather than later, considering they would automatically fit in right there with the Carolinas and Dukes of the world. Johns Hopkins and Maryland not too terribly far up the coast either. Just by program necessity and filling a gap, as soon as Dr. Deborah A. Yao retires at North Carolina State, you could see a push for a Division I team in Raleigh.
Remember, they did have a Division I team before the team really fell apart in 1984 and switching over to clubs. So it's not a crazy thing.
Hack and whack time. Tech comes away with the ball.
Takeaway.
Under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, under 2 minutes to go in the NC State season. Tough and bitter pill to swallow by nature of the draw. You had to tangle with the beast. And valiant though the fight may have been, NC State will still come up just shy. Parker Staten comes away with the ball here.
Ground ball picked up by the Wolfpack goalie.
Blackwelder moves it ahead. Only 3 seniors graduating from North Carolina State, and a minute to go in regulation. Quick play to the middle, they score.
Goal by the Wolfpack.
That'll make it 12-8.
That goal goes to number 22, Jesse Melton.
Jesse Melton, a jump dive.
That's his third of the night, and while NC State will this will go down as a loss, Jesse Melton, an incredible outing for him, a hat trick. Yeah, you mentioned that NC State is bringing back some guys. They've got some seniors on this roster. You know, they're going to be losing team captain Clayton Blackwelder.
Blackwelder will leave.
Blackwelder will leave, and in my opinion, I mean, it's a crucial
Adam
loss
Johnson.
to Adam Johnson, but still a team on the rise, in my opinion. I think they'll be back here next year.
Face-off control by
Would
the
not be
Wolfpack.
surprising in the least, and they could very well win that Northeast Division. 40 seconds and counting. NC State's got possession. This is going to be a quick play to the net, I'd imagine. Shot. Good stop by LaCalzi. 30 seconds and counting. Georgia Tech stares at the clock. It's not technically at Rose Stamps Field, the Georgia Tech home, but it feels like a home game just outside of Atlanta. And Georgia Tech will keep playing in their home state. They'll kill just a little bit more clock. The horn will sound. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets defend their number 3 national ranking as they defeat the NC State Wolfpack by a final count of 12-8. And the Jackets will move on to the SELC semifinals. Nick Sinopoli, it's a heartbreaking end to an excellent season for the NC State Wolfpack. It's a tough draw to have to play number 3 in the quarterfinal. But nonetheless, this was a state team that has fought and has fought hard all year. Nothing to hang your heads about, despite the fact you'll be heading back to Raleigh without a playoff win still. But NC State Lacrosse has had a very strong showing this calendar year.
You know, you're totally right, Drew. In my opinion, NC State is one of the dark horses in the next coming years. I think they've got what it takes to compete with the likes of Georgia Tech. It's just that they're not there just yet. They were 11-3 on the season with their 3 losses coming from just 3 goals. I think NC State has what it takes to be competitive, and we saw that tonight. Only down 1, 6-5 after the first half, and they just collapsed in the end. Georgia Tech, too formidable of opponent, but if you're NC State, hang your heads high. But Georgia Tech proves why it's their tournament to lose, and they're number 3 team in the country.
We'll come right back to the broadcast booth after this quick break to wrap things up from Johns Creek, Georgia. The final score, the number 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 12, the NC State Wolfpack 8. Nick Sinopoli and I will wrap things up from Georgia next. We welcome you back to Johns Creek, Georgia. The final score, the number 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 12, the NC State Wolfpack 8. I'm Drew Blevins alongside of Nick Sinopoli. For the final time in my collegiate career, I get to come before you. It was an honor and a pleasure to be able to come before you for 4 years. Thank you so very much for allowing me into your living rooms. It has been so much fun. Nick, wrapping things up here tonight, this was a lacrosse team that had an excellent season. It was so much fun to follow them. Sometimes it was high drama. Sometimes it was just sheer offensive power. Tonight we saw a good effort from this NC State team, but we really did get to see the upper echelon of collegiate lacrosse with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
You know, I was honestly surprised when I saw that Georgia Tech was ranked number 3 in the nation. You know, when doing my research on them, I said, oh gosh, this is going to be a tall order for NC State. But in the first half, it wasn't necessarily that. While, in my opinion, Georgia Tech was the superior team in all aspects of this game. From start to finish, NC State was able to hang with them in the first half, only down by 6-5 in the first half. Actually got the first score on the board going up 1-0 early, but Georgia Tech, just the name of the game was time of possession, and they did that throughout the contest, winning nearly every face-off. And, you know, off the top of my head, I think NC State only won 2 face-offs on the night, so really showing how critical Austin Bell was to NC State's attack. But, you know, after this incredible season that we've seen from NC State, they can't look at this as a disappointment, Drew. This is huge for this program, and it's huge for Chris Demarest in his first year as the NC State head coach. I think this team will be back here, and I think they'll be able to compete again with the likes of Georgia Tech.
Well, it's a hard thing to understand in sports, but this is something that happens across the spectrum. If you make the playoffs, you understand that only one team is going to be able to win their final game. So it's tough to look back and say, yeah, we lost our last game, but it doesn't diminish what Chris Demarest did at NC State and all. 11 wins in his first year as head coach as he just continues to rack up the total. His 5th-year total at NC State under the guidance of Chip Thurston as an assistant and now taking over the program for himself. He has built this program defensively, and as we called it during an interview exclusive with PackTV a couple of weeks ago, that is his baby, and he continues to rear this child that is his defense, and it's gotten so much better. It didn't necessarily show out tonight just by virtue of the fact Georgia Tech was so strong, but you really did get to see the flashes and glimmers of greatness that are to come for NC State.
Yeah, and you talk about the defense, and it was incredible. And it starts with the guy in net. Parker Staten did incredible tonight. You know, if it weren't for him, I've said it once, but I feel like this could have been a really big loss for NC State, you know, with the amount of face-offs they lost and barely any time of possession. Parker Staten was incredible for the Wolfpack tonight. Defense was all right. You know, they were aggressive at times, but you saw some flashes. And I think if they tune up their skills a little bit more, they could knock off maybe the number 3 team in the country. They could be receiving votes. They could be in the top 25, but we got to wait till next season.
Congratulations to the NC State lacrosse team for an excellent campaign. It's a tough one to swallow tonight, but the body of work was nothing short of stupendous this season. For the final time in my college career, thank you so very much for the opportunity to come before you for 4 years. It's been an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege. And now I hand it off to Nick Sinopoli and the rest of the crew moving forward. Thank you all so very, very much. I will miss you all dearly, but I so very much hope this is not goodbye. It's only so long. For the final time from Johns Creek, Georgia, for Nick Sinopoli, our technical director Logan Sims, and Austin Hogston, I'm Drew Blevins. Good night, and God bless.